All right, so the elections in Nigeria has ended, and a whole lot of concerns by the people, the citizens, and even the flag bearers of the various political parties, all venting their anger at INEC and even questioning the integrity of the election. War tensions hovering in the nation. We want to bring in somebody living in Nigeria. Hello and good to have you on the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm pretty much okay. We thank God for life. We thank
Okay,
God for everything. Good to have you too.
okay. All right. So, Bola Tinubu has been declared winner by INEC. What is the reaction from Nigerians? How are they coping with this result?
Frankly speaking, I must be able to tell you that this electoral processes, the electioneering processes, is an unprecedented type in a long time. You know, the election was more of a kind of new perspective to Nigerians because the independent electoral committee, which is commission, which is the INEC, have introduced a methodology and a systematic way of voting, which involve the beavers, which we never had before in Nigerian history.
Okay.
Most time, it's always the normal manual accreditation and the manual voting. But in this case, there's an introduction of beavers, which means you coming with your voters card, you'll be accredited immediately, which shows the number of accredited voters must tally with the number of those that voted on the ballot paper. So in this case, it was a bit of tight methodology in reading um, or rigging of what I mean. So it's been done legitimately in court. So the question you asked, the reaction of citizens, obviously in politics, you have people, you have people that are politicians, you have people that are technocrats. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So for the technocrats, they still believe there's a bit of injustices, but for the politicians, and politicians are those that are in a political party, for those that their party have won, yes, they believe the election is free and fair. But for those whose their party loses, they believe the election is not free and fair. It's always like that. You understand?
Okay, so
So obviously, in Nigeria, I can tell you there is a lot of peace in many places.
okay.
People are doing their normal day-to-day activities. At first, we were thinking, okay, we waited to see who will be declared. So immediately it was declared, and people looked at the tempo of what the day-to-day activities will be like, and they see that everybody's back to their normal way of life. So there is a lot of processes. If you are not pleased with the results, you go to the courts, and that's what we are waiting to see. But so far, so good. It's been calm. Life has moved on. People are back to their day-to-day activities. That's what I can tell you.
All right. So as you were speaking, you said the introduction of beavers, which has never been brought before. It to accredit the voter. But I've been hearing some misunderstanding by the citizens, some citizens, and even some other political parties, the opposition parties, where they are questioning the integrity of the election, and even questioning INEC for this election results. What even amounted to all these misunderstandings? Were there fraud in the election?
Okay, if I need to tell you the gospel truth, um, I can't say there is a fraud in these electoral processes because the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, had actually told us as Nigerians that the election is going to take two forms, that there will be beavers, and in places where beavers fails, in order not to disenfranchise people, there's going to be a manual kind of voting. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so far, so good that I know the beavers worked. Places that the beavers could not work, people waited to ensure. In fact, in some places, the presidential election was being done in Nigeria on the 25th of last month, which is February. And some people were still voting on the 26th because they needed their beavers to work. So in such case, we can actually say to a large extent, I must be sincere and I must be very pragmatic here that the INEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, they really did a lot of best to make sure it worked. So if people are saying that there is a lot of injustices, that it's not a credible election, it's not fair and fair, there is a policy in electoral processes. They can always go to courts, to tender their complaint. Then a court within its jurisdiction will look into it and they will vet their verdict on such, So far, like me, I voted, the polling booth I was, the number of accredited voters was equal to the number of those that casted their votes. So I am not the entire Nigeria. I can only speak within my own limits of boundaries. Where I voted was peaceful, there was no fight. The number of accredited voters were the number of people that voted. And across the line within the locality where I stay, it was like that. And obviously, most of the people that are agitating that the elections are not credible, the election is not being trustworthy enough, are those that peradventure their political party loses. You understand? Like the Labour Party, where Peter Obi contested, like PDP, where Atiku Abubakar contested. So obviously, Atiku Abubakar is a PDP presidential candidate, while in Labour, what was it called?
Peter Obi.
Peter Obi is the presidential candidate. But what is giving me more of courage that this election looks more transparent is because everybody knows Bola Tinubu happens to be from Lagos and his primary constituency is from Ikeja. APC, which is his political party, lost in his own local government. You understand what I'm saying? The presidential candidate that has been awarded the certificate as the winner of this election lost his local government, which is Bola Tinubu. Not just his local government, lost his state to the opposition party, which is Labour Party. So if the election is not free and fair, there could have been a way to upturn Lagos election. But if they could not even upturn Lagos election, it was declared that he lost his, what was it called? He lost his state and his local government to an opposition. I think we should be able to reason and feel about it that it's fair and fair.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe you're getting from my perspective.
Yeah, I'm getting it, but the point you are raising is, it has to be delved deeper, because the fact that you lost in your state, it doesn't mean it is credible, it is fair, it is free. So the fact that you are losing in Lagos doesn't mean once you've won the presidential election, it makes this election fair, or the most fair election Nigeria has had.
Yeah, no. You see, like I said, Nigeria is a country of so many populations, and if we are to look at it, I can only speak within my own jurisdiction, within my own area of influence, or probably within my own territory. You understand? I don't know, maybe you're getting. So I'm using it as a case study. You understand? If a place where you have as at maybe there's a plan for a census in 2023 this year, but as at 2001, we have a population of about 213.4 million. You understand?
Okay.
Nigerian population. So when you have such, I can only speak within my own jurisdiction, within my own area of influence or where I stay. Do you understand? And for me, it is the very first time in history. Go and check it from the Fourth Republic that I know that election is being conducted democratically since we took over in '99 of democracy, the Fourth Republic. This is the first time Lagos will lose presidential election to an opposition. Though in 19 in 20 is it 99 or in 2003 I think, yes, Lagos, I think presidential election PDP won. That was because Lagos State, the sitting party in Lagos State then, which was ACN, never had a presidential candidate. And if they do, I can't remember, but it was of a low key. They supported Jonathan, which was in opposition party, to make sure they deliver to Jonathan. You understand? The former president. But in history, this is going to be one of the very first time that they have a presidential candidate coming from the same party where the president, which is Lagos State, and they still lost Lagos to an opposition party, which is Labour Party. So it's, for me, is a case study because Lagos is one of the states that in Nigeria that people don't joke with. And if it was declared, if there's anything, it's a big slap for somebody contesting under a particular political party and you are losing to an opposition. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and yet, cumulatively, when you look at the old 36 and the Federal Capital Territory, which is our own FCT, which is our own capital territory, and it still won cumulatively. It shows a bit of free and fair. That is my own analogy or my own way of looking at it, because every politician, even if it's not free and fair, they would have upturned Lagos. You say, how can a presidential candidate lose his own state? But whereas they could not turn it, they could not. It was declared that Labour Party won Lagos State. So for me, it's a big plus that truly the election is fair and fair. And if anybody has anything against the result or anything, yeah, they will definitely go to the court and make it plain. Then the court procedures will start.
Okay.
That's my take.
Okay. So looking at now the declaration made by INEC, saying Bola Tinubu is the winner of the presidential contest. Do you think in the next election, should he contest? Should Bola Tinubu contest? That will make him an incumbent. Do you think he can win another 4 years? Looking at how close this election was, Bola Tinubu won 12 states, Peter Obi won 12 states, Atiku Abubakar 12 states. So looking at how close this election was, do you think he'll be able to win another election in the next for the next 4 years?
Well, for me, I'll just tell you this: that government is a continuum. Now it's coming into power in a situation where people are really, really crying. People are really, really, complaining about the economy, about the power sector, about the infrastructure. Now, for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to have emerged as the presidential candidate, he has 4 years to prove to Nigerians that okay, I will do far better than the way it's were when I took over. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he has his own way to present to Nigerians, because now it's looking like election in Nigeria is no longer business as usual. People are now more sensitized. People are now more of a better understanding to know that they want to come out and vote. This time they want to demand for their mandate. You get? So in the next 4 years, obviously, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not be younger. Another 4 years would have been added to his present age, obviously. So he has every right to present to Nigeria,
Okay.
to Nigerians, a better livelihood. And if he is able to prove it right, I know so many people that stood against him now will definitely be convinced that, oh, this guy has what's it called, a good foresight. He has plans. He has Nigerians at heart. But if he does otherwise, then, because I could remember one of his campaign, he said in 4 years, if he can even deliver, they should vote him out. So then the sovereignty that belongs to the people will still use the election, the voting process to take him out. So I can't say he's going to come back the next 4 years. I can't say he's not going to come back the next 4 years. He has been given the mantle of leadership now. So how he's going to run with it, how he's going to play it, will determine if he's going to come back. Because truly, Nigerians are now clearer and wiser.
Okay, so
Electoral processes.
all right, so just some few hours ago, Peter Obi took to his Twitter page and tweeted that Nigerians should remain resolute. He will prove to Nigerians that the Labour Party won the election. What do you make of this tweet? INEC declaring Bola Tinubu the winner. Peter Obi also saying that the LP party won the election.
Let me be sincere to you. Let me be very, very pragmatic and be sincere to you. We are students of history and we understand Nigerian political setting so well. In history, anybody that is meant to offset the incumbent party must have a proper, listen to me, I'm trying to choose my words, must have a proper handshake between the northern and the southern. There must be a proper handshake between the north and the south. Let's use the present president as a case study. He contested when he was in ANPP, a single party. He tried it the first time. He could not win. He tried it the second time. He could not win. Even in CPC, when he tried it in CPC, he could not win because you needed a proper handshake, a proper measure with the southern and the northern, to come together until the CPC then had to form alliance with ACN to become APC. That was when they were able to upturn PDP. That was in 2015. So historically, yes, Labour, people are saying, people have been saying that is a social media clout. They try to just make noise on social media and all that. In reality, we should not be sentimental. If you're going to win an election in Nigeria, there must be a proper handshake between the South and the North. So that was what didn't really happen. Yes, Peter Obi brought in, what's it called, a northern deputy, which is from the North. But the question is, how weightier is this vice president of his? How weightier is the vice president of APC? Look at what happened in the history of Nigeria since 1993, that we last had a Muslim ticket between late Chief MKO Abiola and was it King Gibe? I can't remember his vice then. Now I can't remember the name. I think it's King Gibe. It was a Muslim ticket. That was the last time, because now politically you need to factor in so many factors, so many things. You must look at ethnicity. You must look at some geopolitical rationale behind some things. You must look at religion. Now, guess what? Politicians will always think about of their interest. Ashwaju emerged in the primaries as a Muslim. So he needed to win the election. That's how politician is about interest. To win the election, he is a Muslim, a minority Muslim from the South. And if you need a proper integration to win an election, there must be a proper handshake between the South and the North. So you understand?
Okay.
And I think we need to we need to grow beyond this African politics. We don't need to look maybe from Ghana, is from northern region, is from southern region, is from central region. Nigeria, we don't need to look whether it's from the eastern region, the southern region, or something. It is high time we start to look at the best, the credible, and the most competent candidates, regardless of race, religion, and all that. What's it called? Way of system of belief or whatever. You get?
Okay.
And calculatively, when you look at the APC, if they had picked a Christian from the north, just because we need to appeal to people, a Muslim Christian ticket, probably it wouldn't have been an advantageous position for them today. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, in every political setting, every politician will always think of their interest first. So, going by their interest, then every other thing is secondary. It's secondary. So, the church was angry that how can you pick a Muslim ticket? And I tell you, even those from the south, from the southeast, voted against Bola Tinubu Ashiwaju, which is even from that same region.
Okay.
You understand? Because the party presented to Nigerians a Muslim ticket.
Okay.
I know too well that Peter Obi, who he said is going to prove to Nigerians that he won the election. Super. You know, in life, I will speak to you as someone that is educated. I will not speak from the perspective of ignorance. Anybody, if this is democracy, anybody can tell you, if he's looking at white as a color, and tell you, no, it is not white. This is cream color or off-white color. When you look at it, they have a bit of similarities, but it's not white. Cream color looks more like white. For some people that have color blindness, they can tell you cream is white. But democracy has made it so easy for us to hear our view, to make known our plight. So everything about the election,
Sorry.
if it is
Yeah, you
free
can continue.
or not, they can go to the courts. Then I'm not a lawyer. I'm an engineer by profession. Then everybody will start to, exchange the sword in the court of law to get it proven that yes, he won the election. We can see similar case like that in one of the states in Nigeria. In Osun State, recently they did their gubernatorial election. INEC declared PDP as the winner. Then APC went to court and proved that PDP did not win. And the courts had actually said that APC won the election by virtue of the numbers of those that voted in correspondence with the beavers and whatever result. So let everybody approach the court of law.
Do you feel Nigeria may have a re-election if, let's say, P2B goes to court and the other parties also go to court? Do you think Nigeria may have a re-election? And even if
to a large extent, I'm a student of history, and I think to a large extent I know some political history of Nigeria. I think I don't see a re-election by every standard. If I'm to look at it from my own humanistic point of view, except maybe by divinity. Maybe God really wants to do something, but in most cases, People will tell you don't bring God into all this and all that. But in my own humanistic understanding, I don't see it, because you can't tell me that in the whole of the eastern region where Obi came from, that he won the place massively, and you tell me there's no rigging there. Why in the other side of the geopolitical zones, like the south, that was where you feel the rig. From the north, that was where you feel the rigged. But within the region of the candidate itself, they did not rig there because he's from there. So why can't the other opponent party see it from the perspective of you that how come this kind of vote is coming from this particular section of Nigeria? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there are some things in life I've come to understand that success have too many families. It's only when you feel if failure is an orphan, people don't want to associate with failures. You understand? So people can agitate and we'll leave everything to the court of law. Let everybody, if you feel you have your proof, that you go to the court and iron this case out. And at the end of the day, because like I told you, we've seen cases like that in states, even in primaries election, that this person said is the rightful owner, and at the end of the day, they went to court. The court said no, by virtue of the way they interpret it. I'm not a lawyer, you understand? By their interpretation, and at the end of they said this person truly won. So I don't know how we're going to say much about that, but I can tell you, frankly speaking, from my own humanistic understanding as a layman, or as my own person, as human, I don't really see any other party, PDP, NNPP, Labour Party, trying to say, okay, um, APC did not win the election. But, except maybe by divinity, God wants to do something that we don't, because I am a Christian and I believe so much in the sovereignty and the unseen movement of God. We've seen it happen before. In 93, it was just two single party, SDP and NRC. SDP won that election, and at the end of the day, it was Abiola late Shifemkio was not even given the mandate. Do you get? INEC did not even announce him as the winner. You understand? He was arrested for treasoning. That he did not wait for the pronunciation of INEC. He was jubilating. He was. So these are things that in those areas we don't need to touch those areas. Let's leave it for the expertise, the lawyers. Let them handle the case. If they feel yes, but by virtue of figures and voting, INEC had pronounced former governor of Lagos State, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the winner of the February presidential election. So it is within their own power, it is within their own consent that yes, this is the winner. So anybody who feels is not will definitely go to court. So that is the procedures. That's the way.
Has it ever happened in Nigeria's history before that there has been an election and the winner has been declared and an opposition has sent it to court, and even perhaps the opposition has overturned the election result? Has it ever happened in Nigeria's history before?
Well, like I told you the from the beginning of my statement when this interview started, this election looks more like an unprecedented type. It looks similar to 93, where people came out to vote massively for a particular party. Yeah, this has not happened before in the history of Nigeria in terms of presidential election, but we've seen that before in some senatorial election, House of Rep elections, that the two political party have a kind of close result and they had to declare a rerun. It even happened in some gubernatorial election that they needed to do a rerun. We've seen that in Osun State before, during the time of was it Rauf Aregbesola or the last Oyetola of Osun State? There was a rerun, at the end of the day. But on presidential election, no, that's never happened before. But with gubernatorial, senatorial, House of Rep, yes, I think that has happened in several places in Nigeria. But for presidential, no, it has not happened. It has never happened before. So,
Okay. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Adiola Ojetunde, thank you very much for your time, and it's been very insightful conversation. So, thank you very much for your time.
thank you so much.
Okay.